This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. You can text the show on 81215, follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. Email the show via the Absolute Radio website. Ta-da!
Morning, boys.
Good morning. I was a bit worried by something on the...
I like how...
Oh, sorry, carry on.
I liked how jolly you got for the email address there.
Yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. I was a bit thrown by something in the news when our newsreader said that Cristiano Ronaldo was making his second debut for Man United. I'm worried about the grammar of that. Can you make a second debut?
Yes.
You can?
No, I don't think you can.
No.
I was saying, yes, I agree. You're right to be churlish about that.
Yes.
All I was worried about was the grammar, because as you know, Frank, I revealed to you this morning that he has been picked for this week's fantasy team, and it's all on you, Chris. So, Chris, you better deliver.
Yeah.
I think
on
you'll
your
go
second
under pressure, though.
I hope his second debut goes well for your second debut. It's like, I've lost my virginity again.
Oh, dear.
What are you talking about? Anyway, that's that. It's exciting. I'm excited, and obviously, on one level, I don't care, but on another level,
Well,
yeah.
do you remember you did? I thought that was a great idea of yours to just refer to him as Chris. And I really hope on his second debut this takes off.
It's a bit more Manchester as well, isn't
I like it.
All right, Chris, how are you? Yeah, I like it.
In other news, Al, we've just received a missive from a lady who's saying that I believe she went to school with you, Frank. And her Twitter bio... Sorry. Her Twitter bio, Al, reads Adventurous Nana, which is not...
Oh, my contemporary is now Adventurous Nana. Very much
cool.
my catchment area, I must say, the Adventurous Nana group. But great.
I know.
What's
She's a celebrant.
What's her name?
She's an independent celebrant, and she says she does a little bit of travelling, a little bit of writing, and a lot of Argentine tango.
Does she really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Adventurous Nana.
What's the name? Because the trouble is with... this is why I never had much truck with the Friends Reunited, because in those days, women, when they married, they changed their names. I know some still do, but...
Yeah.
Some still do.
Yeah.
I don't know. She calls herself...
Only the traitors to the feminist cause, though, I think.
She calls herself... she calls herself on Twitter Adventures of a Wobbly Penguin.
Oh.
Wow.
As well as Adventurous Nana.
Yeah. But I don't know what her name is.
Okay.
She's anonymous. And
obviously, there were many girls at school who I was crazy about, you know. Sadly, a lot of them are no longer with us. But their memory lives on in so many ways. So it's been... I've been on the road again this week. I was back at the... I was back at the Mercure in Bridgewater.
Oh, yeah.
how was it?
Well, I had a nicer room this time. New readers, I was there last week in Bridgewater. I'm filming at the moment. But, yes, I was slightly upgraded to a nicer room. But there was something about the room which unsettled me, which I shall tell you after this.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I was staying at the Mercure in Bridgewater, room 126, which is one of the nicer rooms, called, if you get a nicer room in a hotel, it has a name as well as a number. So it was called Cornhill.
Oh, I like
It seemed to fit my comedy that I might live on Cornhill.
Is
By the
that
way,
like, Frank, so I was just going to say, in the Hotel of Wine, which we often speak
oh
of,
yeah, Alto de Vin.
they often go for that, don't they? The higher up you get, the more you get the Santa Million.
They're all named after wines, and the customers aren't told the numbers. I think only the cleaners know the numbers. So you walk around saying it's something like Bajou de. Is it a B? It's got a B in it. I don't know if it's on this floor. It's got a B in it. It's like that. Anyway, so. It says Cornhill outside my room, and then it says to designate the nicer room. Can you believe this? This is on the wall next to my door. Privilege. I thought, why don't you make everyone in the hotel hate me? I'm going to get like angry villagers gathered outside my door.
I do hope you scroll straight white male above it.
Just to really get it, but please don't bring that up. I mean, Cornhill says it really. That'd be a good. I like it when people give their house a name as well. I used to many years ago. I went out with a woman from Essex, and there was a house. She lives in the posh bit, and there was a house called Arajaba, and I thought Arajaba might be some sort of Mediterranean island, and it was a pun on Arijaba because Harwich Harbour was quite near, and that's what the locals called it. Quite clever, I thought.
I liked my late godmother, Lindsay DePaul, called her house.
Pause for reaction, and carry on.
She called her house Moot Grange, which was an anagram of no mortgage.
Very,
nice.
very good.
Yes.
Well done, Lindsay DePaul.
I like
Good
that.
work.
Just a wallflower, the dingle. That was her, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Won't somebody dance with me?
With no mortgage.
Oh, what the queen of the beauty spot.
467 has let us know that good morning, Frank and team. Cornhill is a section of Bridgewater.
Oh,
from
thank
Lee
you.
in Taunton.
Thanks.
I felt it important.
I once went to a theatre. I think it might have been the Wimbledon Theatre, I'm not sure. And the man said, great news, we put you in the Anushka Hempel room. And as far as I could tell, there was a bit of pink satin around the sink to cover the pipes. That was it. That was everything. That was what distinguished it from any other room. If anyone's got a favourite room dedication
I like that.
or house name,
Yes.
I'd love to hear it on 8, 12, 15. You see, that was a proper radio presenting, of which there is so little on this show.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Oh yes, at the I'm still at the Mercure in Bridgewater. My look this week in Bridgewater, because it's been hot, has been boots and shorts.
Yeah.
Oh, extraordinary.
Like a landscaper.
I'd say more like
Little Boy Scout owl.
I would describe my look. Me being a man in my 60s, I'd describe my look as tank girl. That's what I've gone for.
Right.
Yeah, not many men of my age go for that, but I think if you can carry it off. But then I had to drive somewhere, and I'm loath to drive in my big chunky tank girl boots, so I put on my brown slip-ons. Now I move into an area which I find unsettling. There is a certain kind of man, and there'll be some listening, and I love you in many ways, and I don't judge, for as ye judge, so shall ye be judged. Mm-hmm. But they wear a short, often a tailored short, but a short with
Lovely
just
singular.
a slip-on shoe, no socks.
Yeah, a loafer.
Yeah, a loafer. I'm going to call it, I think one could go as far as to say a moccasin.
Yes.
But anyway, that is a look I don't care for, and we're all different. Would you wear that, Al?
No.
No. Okay. So I was thinking to myself, I have to walk. I was distressed that I was walking from the driving seat to the boot in that outfit. Even that journey made me, I thought, if someone sees me in shorts and brown slip-ons, I shall never get over it. But I got to the boot, ironically, where my boots were. And it was all fine. And then that evening I went to the restaurant at the Mercure in Bridgewater, the Marco Pierre White.
Oh, fancy.
Lots of black and white pictures of Marco on the wall, looking haunted, carrying a machete. And
Mark Peter White.
Is that, yes? In his stripy apron. Man on a sort of a darker mission happens to be wearing a stripy apron. Yeah. There's some pictures of him sort of having a bit of roughhousing with Gordon Ramsay. Like the two big scary stags going at each other in the kitchen. I still managed to swallow my food despite this. And then a man came in who was wearing shorts and slip-ons, but stick around.
Oh.
The front strap, I don't know what the technical term is, but the strap that goes across the top of the foot was bejewelled. It was actually, I don't suppose they were real jewels. I think he'd probably gone Diamante. But so he'd taken it and he'd absolutely run with it. He'd taken a bad look and he had gilded the already quite unsavoury Lily. And I thought, you know what? That walk from the driving seat to the boot, it weren't so bad. I thought he made me feel better about the whole thing. But I stared at him all night. And now we're going to open a small antique shop in Brighton.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We've had some misses from our dedicated readers.
Okay.
With regards to house names.
Oh, yeah.
So I might start with Tom Quinn, who has told us that round the corner from me is a bungalow called New Bungalow, a name I feel is not only unimaginative but will also date very quickly.
I kind of like it. What about Zealand? They've stuck with it.
Yeah, fair play.
I like that.
Do you like it?
Because what should we call the New Bungalow? And one of them is that moment of clarity that you sometimes get in comic thinking when you cut through all the sort of normal routes.
Yes.
And think, let's stay here with that thing you just said, New Bungalow.
Well, in fact, not far from me is a house with, it's a lovely, one of those quite expensive engraved stone signs which says to be or not to be.
Oh, and is it to be?
It is to be.
Oh, okay, that's confusing for the postman.
Yeah. He doesn't want to wrestle with that existential question every morning.
And near where I used to live was in the river and sort of going towards Chelsea. There was a house where there were two cars parked, and the number plates on one was 2B and the other one was not 2B.
Oh, I like that.
And sometimes, very rarely, they were parked in the wrong order, and it really annoyed me.
See that.
We also have Martin Waring has got in touch, boys, and he says the flat we currently live in has a nameplate on the door saying Filth Bear.
Now that is one of the best house names. Do you get flat names? I've never seen a flat name.
Filth Bear.
But Filth Bear, I hope it's not a terrible
cartoon character vibe, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Al, it sounds a bit like something that they'd watch in The Simpsons or something.
Is it Bear Grylls after dinner speaking persona?
Yeah, Bear's gone blue.
Filth Bear.
Some of the texts about house names reveal sort of another world of turmoil, actually, that I didn't expect. 149, long-time reader, first-time writer, recreative house names. My father intended to call a barn conversion he was building Nothers, which sounded like it fit in with other local names. He was acrimoniously separated from my mother, who owned said barn, whilst he owned the house she continued to live in, hence not hers.
Oh.
and then in brackets, this arrangement continues 30 years later and is now my job to sort out.
Oh.
Yeah.
See, the fact that house sign has such a story around it.
There's a
love
lot
it.
under the surface, isn't
You know
there?
those things that they do when you have to like write a novel in less than 10 words.
Yeah.
It's got that there. That is a novel.
Yeah.
A bear filth might be, but
Is it
no,
filth
bear? No,
bear?
sorry, filth. No, I was thinking about its listing in Yellow Pages. This bear, filth.
I'm just worried, Frank. Filth Bear. All I hope and pray is that Bungle hasn't fallen on hard times.
Yes, exactly.
You know,
The
it's happened to
filth
us
bear
all.
bunch at the Wonderland Lap Dancing Club.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
I was in Peterborough this week doing a gig. Very nice. Sunday night. And then my management company got a call from a lady who works at Peterborough Cathedral. You'll know that part of my touring extras is going to large religious buildings. So I thought that's great. So we got. I was with my tour manager Omar,
Lovely.
and we arrived in Peterborough early so that we could do our tour. And we had to meet this woman, so we waited outside. She showed up. She hugged me.
Oh.
Now, I've been hugged by a non-family member for
How did you
nearly
take
2
that?
years. Well, it was done, and it had happened. I just hope for the best.
Yeah.
And then, so I said, OK, let's do it. And we walked towards the cathedral, and I said, how old is the cathedral? And she said, I don't know. And I thought, that's a bit odd for someone who works there has offered me a free tour. What's the nature of the tour? If I wouldn't say that was one of the more probing.
Well, I was going to say, I'd consider
Well,
that
no,
fairly
it's
entry
your
level.
Exactly. So she said also it's shot. And I said, well, and I thought, well, that's great because we'll get like just the solo tour thing. And she said, look, I'll be straight with you. I've got nothing to do with the cathedral. I'm just a massive fan of yours.
What?
I thought it'd be nice to hang out.
Oh, no, how?
Wow.
So,
I mean, if you're going to do that, at least read up on the Wikipedia page so you
Well.
know how old it is at first.
So, how is Frank feeling, Alan, at this point?
I think it's one of those moments when you wish you carried, as a matter of course, a flare gun. Just to fire into the air as a sort of here I am. And so I was a little thrown by it. And then she said, I know you really like a prank. You're always going on the show about how you like a prank. I thought you'd really go for it. And I said, when they say you are hoisted by your own petard, I was sort of worried that she might have a petard with her. Now, I don't know if it's right to use petard as a punchline on a commercial radio breakfast show, but a petard is a bomb. To be hoisted by your own petard, obviously, to be blown up. So, you do kind of think the worst when somebody... it didn't really feel like a prank. It felt more like Kathy Bates in Misery at this point.
It felt like things could have got a little filth bare.
But, stick around, she then said how much she loved the show, and you too. She absolutely loved you too.
I love that woman.
She got gifts for you, which I shall distribute soon. She gave my tour manager, she gave him a box of biscuits, and he said... No, I'm not going to engage with you. because if you look at it from his point of view, although he was nothing to do with the actual setting up of the thing, he's my man. You know what I mean? And now, like my barriers have been broken, and he was not happy. I've never seen him like that before. Oh. And he said, I don't want the biscuits. He said, I don't know what you've done to them. So then we'd put that was the cat out the bag. Oh. So she gave me a tin of French onion soup, and with mercury. That was written in brackets on the front in biro. It wasn't. I couldn't see any way that it could have been damaged.
Did Omar thaw at all to her?
A little, yeah, but he could see why he was upset. He felt he'd let me down, which I didn't feel at all. I did consider dashing into the cathedral right up to the bell tower and shouting, "Sanctuary! Sanctuary!" But I didn't do that. So I thought the best way is that we sat and we just talked a bit, sat outside, lots of people around, it was daylight. And I think in the end, it was a sort of a prank that went a bit wrong, but it was a slightly unsettling, disturbing, probably shouldn't talk about it on the radio sort of a prank.
Oh, well.
There was a point where she went on and on about Emily. Sorry, Alan, but she went on about how great Emily was. And I said, you'd rather be sitting here with Emily, wouldn't you? She said, I would, really. So I gave her your address, Em, if that's all. Anyway, just to close this off, so I did the gig. Just before the gig, me and Omar sat in the dressing room having a cup of tea. And he said, I really feel bad. I said, please don't. Nothing happened. It was fine. I signed the book. We had a photo took. You haven't done anything wrong. He said, well, thanks for that. And he just stared into his cup of tea. He said, I tell you what, I wish I'd had them biscuits.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. You can text us on 81215. Many have, and we're about to hear from them. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. Likewise, email the show via the Absolute Radio website. There are various portals through which you can enter our world.
I am going to select the Omar portal.
Oh. Omar, in case you're new to the show, is my tour manager.
And Glenn has tweeted us to say, I hope your tour manager's expenses/fees are referred to as the Omar tariff or tariff.
Very good. They will be from now on.
Omar sent his tariff in again.
Did we get her name?
It was Glenn.
Oh, Glenn. Well, it could be a girl. Glenn Close.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah. But we'll call that Glenn's Law from now on. Okay.
Well, that's nice.
Love that.
We were also discussing a moment ago that you used to live near two cars, one with the 2B and another one with not 2B licence plates. Is that right?
That's correct.
725 has texted.
That is correct. I feel like I'm being questioned by the police. That's correct.
No comment.
On Frank's 2B number plate annoyance, you said you were annoyed when they weren't in the correct order.
Yeah.
I lived in Japan for a while where there are two Honda car models, Honda That's and Honda Life. In 5 years, I never saw them in the correct That's Life order. Saw Life That's 6 times.
Oh, that's how frustrating.
I like the fact they remember that it was 6 times that they saw the wrong version.
Yes, I like that.
Well, people who keep a journal.
Yeah, exactly.
512 has got in touch. When I move in with my new boyfriend after his divorce is finalised, our house will become Disgraceland, they're calling it.
There was another one that there's a sort of a play in just a short text.
There was a Mexican Elvis. I remember Mexican Elvis impersonator who lived in Mexico, and his house was Gracias Land. So I always really liked.
We've also had Nasha, who's one of our regular correspondents.
Oh, Nasha, the Dennis the Menace associate.
Yeah, And the first time I've ever heard him referred to as an associate. Colleague next. I wanted to speak to your colleague, Dennis, actually, Nasha. Nasha, you may recall, boys, he spells his name with the...
with a G.
The number plate formation. So he's
With,
N4...
Oh,
5
yes.
HER.
Oh, okay.
Morning, folks. I remember on the Channel 4 soap Brookside, a couple had a portmanteau of their Christian names as the name of their house. It was called, do you remember, Frank?
I don't.
Casa Bevron. Class, cheers. Do you remember? Bev and Ron Dixon and his partner Bev. It was Casa Bevron.
Okay.
Okay.
I always thought, remember Shay Given, the Irish goalkeeper? If only he'd owned a French restaurant, it could have been called Shay Given. But let's stick to house names, or pretty soon we'll be getting misheard lyrics and all that. And then we're not capital. Anyway, so now I've said it.
Yeah.
Sorry, everyone. By the way, can I say... I had a note from. You understand these things more than me, as far as I can tell from the sort of mail address. He's called Jed Hobb, but the Hobb there could be more of that, couldn't there? He shortened it for the purposes of an avatar.
Oh,
thing.
okay.
Am I right? I don't know. I just don't know. Anyway, he sent me a bunch of old New Yorker magazines.
Oh, that's
You remember I saw some in the street offered for free outside a house, and was too self-conscious to pick them up. And that's including. He said, I've included an old comic in it. I thought, what are you trying to say? And it was actually an edition of The Magnet, which is a very old comic.
Well, you must have been
drawn to
delighted.
that.
Yeah, I was drawn to that. Yeah, very attractive cover. And relax.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Where were we?
Well, an area that we don't often cover on this show that I would like us to is people being cleared after a miscarriage of justice.
Yes. That is always good, isn't it?
And I bring your attention to a gentleman in Scotland who is named Stephen Smith, who was sacked from his job for complaining in the work canteen when he paid £1.99 for a portion of chicken nuggets and was only given 3. And he complained, he got a bit red in the face. The person who had sold him said chicken nuggets, then said, well, you can buy 3 more for 99 pence. He complained a bit more, said something sarcastic, like, if I wanted a Happy Meal, I'd have gone to McDonald's.
Yeah.
And he was sacked. A miscarriage of justice, I think.
Well, can I speak as a sort of a tribunal member on this?
Yes, I
How
would
do
like
you
to hear.
interpret the phrase, if I wanted a Happy Meal, I would have gone to McDonald's? Because a Happy Meal is, I think, it's one of the few genuine bargains one regularly gets in the modern world. You get, you get your food, a drink, and sometimes you get the book or toy option.
Yeah.
So it's an odd example to use of something that isn't a good deal.
Yes.
Would you agree, Al?
Oh, right, yeah, I see. I didn't actually, I didn't think about his Happy Meal comment very much. I'm more focused on the fact that he'd been given £5,000 after his unfair dismissal.
Yeah, well,
That's the bit that...
Dissatisfied Stephen Smith, 30.
well, what I liked about Steve, let's call him Steve.
Yeah.
Steve's
Steve-o? Steve-o too over familiar.
No, do you know what I quite like, Steve? Let's go, Steve.
Yeah. So Steve said, and I quote from his statement here, that when he received only 3 chicken nuggets for $1.99, that he was left shocked and disillusioned.
Yeah.
Now, I agree. I think it does sound like he got short shrift.
Yeah.
But not surely shocked and disillusioned. Shocked.
I don't know.
And also, to be disillusioned, is that a bad thing? That means that he was harbouring some sort of illusion, which this woman has relieved him of.
In his defence, he does claim that other customers were getting 4 or even 5 chicken nuggets
he
in
does
there.
say that. Yeah.
Nevertheless,
Sounds like he was being victimised to me.
Nevertheless, she robbed him of his illusion, according to him. And so he got, instead of a book or toy, he actually got chicken nuggets plus the truth. How many of us can say that?
What he didn't order was a bite of the reality sandwich.
No.
If he wanted that, he'd have asked for it.
I agree with Al that the crux of this is that others got 4 or 5.
Oh, yeah.
If you got 3, you could just think, what a cheapskate place. I won't be using the works canteen again. But to be confronted with other people, I mean, there's no need for that at all.
Well, he stormed out.
Can I say, when he saw other people with 4 or 5, he said he felt the canteen were, and I quote again, conducting a vendetta. A vendetta against Steve, which is not that small ice cream thing. No, but I mean, I like the sound of he's a man of high drama.
It's very Godfather. I know what you did, Fredo. I mean, come on, mate. Steve.
No, look, but I got to say I'm with Steve on the I get 3, they get 5. That there is no justification for that.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
Should we go back to dissatisfied Steve,
Let's
30?
call him Aggrieved Steve.
Aggrieved Steve. Very good.
Steve Agrievovich.
Very good. I do like that a lot.
Yeah.
We've had,
In case you don't know, Steve Agrievovich was a footballer. I think, was he goalkeeper for Coventry City?
Oh, lovely work.
I think so.
You see, together we are beautiful. I would like to also, lest we forget the dinner lady in question.
I don't think she'd call herself that. I think she's a canteen operative.
I do apologise to the canteen
I would
operative.
suggest that she might be a stingy and vindictive canteen operative.
Oh, you can't say. Well, we don't know the circumstances.
Well, she gave him fewer chicken nuggets than the person that got 4 or 5.
Yeah, but it could have been an oversight.
Listen, the canteen operative... lovely correzione there, Frank. Thank you for that. The canteen operative stated that when Steve said to her, if I wanted... what did he say? He made the remark
If I wanted a Happy Meal, I'd have gone to McDonald's, which is perfectly reasonable logic, but why bring it up?
Well, the canteen operative said her stomach was churning
Yes.
afterwards. And it was suggested that he was somewhat aggressive.
She does get free nuggets, though.
I did wonder, looking at the photo, if the stomach was churning because of the nuggets rather than the...
You want to lay off the canteen food. Her stomach was churning, and that is why we should say Steve was, unfortunately, he was no longer with the company.
No.
As I believe the euphemism goes.
Well, she said I'm going to quote the canteen operative now. I've quoted Aggrieved Steve. I don't see it. Steve Agrievovich.
Yeah.
Not easy, but we'll stick with it.
Yeah.
It's worth it. This is what she said. She said, I knew he was angry because his attitude, his tone, and his language changed. Apparently, he spoke Serbo-Croat for 10 minutes. And this also helpful. He became louder than he had previously been. I think this is a very comprehensive checklist for anger recognition.
Yeah.
And because sometimes you think, is this person angry or are they not? Just go through those. Change your tone, volume. It's all there. I think we have to allow for the fact this woman, even if Steve was aggrieved, she may have been intimidated if he was disgruntled in high volume. I feel a bit for the operative as well.
No, I don't.
Alice picked his side and he's sticking with it. Fair play to him.
I just think if she can't stand the heat, she should stay out of the kitchen.
Hey! Brilliant.
Do you know,
I love it.
Apparently, Steve also said to her, Is that it?
Yeah, well, that's fair enough. I think that would be a phrase that sprang to mind when you look. You see, I imagine that it would look like a short 3 stanza poem. These 3 chicken nuggets in this big white cardboard surrounding, and it's not what he was after at all. He wanted a page of prose.
You see, why didn't he just rely, Steve, on good old-fashioned British passive aggression? You know how I would have dealt with that?
I think he did.
Oh, sorry.
No, he skipped the passive part out, I think. Go on, what would you have said?
I tell you exactly. Well, I think we should go through how we all would have dealt with that. I'll start, and then I'd like to hear you two. I would have said, "Oh, sorry. I think maybe you've forgotten a few here. It's looking a little bit smaller. Bit of a problem."
Yeah, that's fair enough.
What would you have done?
I think I would have said, I demand a recount. Otherwise, I would have felt like some Al Gore character when I saw the others going off with their... What about you, Al? I suppose you'd have just hit... No, it's a female. You wouldn't have done that.
I don't really hit males either.
Oh, OK, sorry. Well, how would you have handled it?
I think I would have brought up the fact that 3 nuggets for $1.99 is 66.33 pence recurring.
Oh, yeah.
And, if it was 4, it's 49.75 per nugget. And I've done the maths. If I'd got 5, it's actually 39.8.
I can hear the churn. I can hear the churning.
Per nugget.
I can hear the mathematics-induced churning.
It's just not fair.
In fact, I'm churning.
It's overpriced at that, isn't it?
No. I mean, I think
66 pence per nugget. Come on.
We all feel that Steve had reasonable Agrisovich. And it was the others, and those others, and they're 4 or 5 nuggets. I've come to despise them.
Frank Skinner. Absolute Radio.
I think when we were discussing this, what was it? The catering operative. I've forgotten the phrase that you used.
I think that was it.
Yeah, canteen operative, yeah.
The canteen operative. I think to a certain extent she may have poured some fuel on the flames of Steve Smith's anger.
Steve's Agrisovich.
Yeah, because when he said 3 chicken nuggets for $1.99, that doesn't seem very good value or something. She said, well, you can buy 3 more for 99 pence, which, I mean... Obviously, we're all thinking that's 33.3 recurring.
Of course.
Price per nugget.
What was Al's nickname for mathematics?
Aladdin.
Aladdin. That was it.
Yeah, Aladdin. He also gets called... it's funny because there's some people like to call him Muscles.
Yeah.
And then some...
But I'm just in this mathematical... Because there was a time when Al goes numeral.
Yeah, some of what people call me at gigs is not broadcastable.
No, I'm sure that isn't true, but...
We'll stick with this. I'll bet none of them realised that they were actually taking part in a maths problem for future GCSE papers.
I hope it appears on one of those programmes for kids. Bite size, obviously, be slightly inappropriate.
That's good.
Yeah. Also, the tribunal... And I don't want to name names, but one of the members of the tribunal said that the Happy Meal, a bit like me, they were floored by the ambiguity of the Happy Meal. They said the Happy Meal comment for some could be seen as positive.
Yeah.
Now, let's go back to the Happy Meal comment. If I wanted a Happy Meal, I would have gone to McDonald's. I don't think it's especially negative. It's I would call it a non sequitur, but how could it be seen as positive? I don't know where the tribunal are coming from with that. If I wanted a Happy Meal, nothing positive yet for me. I would have gone to McDonald's. It's all if.
Yes.
He's living in a world of what if, Agrisovich, at this stage. There's nothing... it can't be seen as positive. I think the tribunal slipped up in that element. That's what I'm saying.
He did say as well, Steve Agrisovich, that he has a medical condition which forces his face to go red.
Oh, well, that's different.
To explain away why he would have come across as particularly heated.
Yes. I think that's okay. I remember Darth Maul was in front of an industrial tribunal and explained how that had happened.
Look, it happens. Some people don't sweat either.
The singing detective
has got a touch of the I don't sweat.
He doesn't sweat, maybe. We've all got our thing.
The singing detective was busted down to a constable on a similar misunderstanding.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Absolute Radio.
We've had a missive from Ian Stewart Dootson, who's one of our regulars.
Okay.
This is to Frank on the Radio, Divine Miss M, and Al Adin.
Yeah.
And what I like is he's done ADDIN and then a little apostrophe.
Oh, nice.
The Happy Meal comment was not, in my view, a positive analogy. Aggrieved Steve's attitude seems to have been entirely negative throughout.
Very good.
Calculating the cost of a supplementary serving probably gave the CEO, canteen operative, recurring nightmares.
Oh, man, he's absolutely gone to town.
Thank you, ISD.
It's sort of a pond-based gloss on the whole story.
Yeah.
Pond gloss. Was that a football manager? Anyway, I stopped at a
literary figure.
I stopped at a. Is he from?
I tell you what he's from. He's from Voltaire. Yes.
Yeah. I stopped at motorway services at Tewkesbury.
Oh, me too.
Oh, yeah.
And did you?
Yes, this week.
So did I. What if we'd bumped into each other? Nothing more exciting than unexpectedly meeting a friend. Anyway, there was you didn't dine at the Leon, did you?
I don't dine. And I stop. I'm in and out here. No, I might pop in and buy, a sausage or such like, but I would not sit in and dine.
I don't like to sound like the sort of road comic amongst us, but the Gloucester services are fantastic. The independent sort of farmhousey one.
Bit tea-bay, little bit tea-bay.
Yeah, it's like a tea-bay of the
tea-bay of the
south of the country. Yes, exactly.
How are we finding? How are we finding?
I forgot the word for south.
You've been up there too long, Al. It's your trouble.
South Mims.
South Mims. I prefer North Mims.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yes.
So go on then.
So I went to the Leon and I got myself a nice, actually it's a sweet potato, coconut and pineapple curry.
Do you sit in the canteen seating area?
Oh, yeah. But I also added some GFS, and they were called GFS. There's a big sign that said GFS and then the price, I can't remember what it was. And I said, what's GFS? And the woman said, gluten-free chicken nuggets. Oh. And I sat down, ate them. It was late. We'd driven a long way. I was tired. I got back in the car and I thought, why GFS then? Why not GFNG? CG rather, if they're gluten-free. And I thought, is it like gluten-free stuff?
Or snacks, I presume.
GFS.
Or have they just got rid of the chicken part? Is it just gluten-frees? The gluten-frees?
No, it was they made a big thing that it's called a GFS, like they were trying to encourage us to use that.
Al, don't call it the gluten-frees like they're a band.
I came up with some other options in the car, but not for breakfast radio. I thought they were nice, actually. But if anyone knows what a Leon GFS is, give us a shout.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. You can text the show on 81215. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. Email the show via the Absolute Radio website. I should say before we enter one of our maniacal meandering chats that it is the birthday today of Sarah Bishop, who is our producer on the show. She ain't with us. So we've brought the presents in and we've decided to distribute them to the poor.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I feel it's what Sarah, I know it's what you would have wanted. You're such a generous soul.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
when you see someone on the street in a pink Las Vegas sweatshirt, you'll know where they got it from. So yes, happy birthday to Sarah. I should say at this, and this is tempting fate because we have an hour to go. But during Sarah's lengthy absence.
Yeah.
2 Saturdays.
Yeah.
2 Saturdays, first in about 5 years.
Faye, the assistant producer, has stepped forward and
Stepped up to the plate.
with obviously the show's not over yet, but thus far has done a fantastic job. So well done, Faye, as well.
Stressed
And
now
Sarah.
that you've tempted that fate.
I know, I've tempted Faye.
Sarah actually texted us as well because she had a run-in, didn't she?
Oh yes, she had our producer's boyf, who's called Matt, he of the lustrous whiskers, was out.
We love
and this was the thing. You know, when people say something in conversation, and you think, like for example, my godmother Stephanie Sykes.
Lindsay DePaul.
Lindsay DePaul. I'm sorry, everyone. Jack DeMarnio.
Very easy mistakes to make.
Fernandine de Magellan. She said, Matt was operating his drone when we was on holiday, and I thought, well, this is the holiday snaps gone out of control. So Matt travelled with his own drone and was then told, I don't know, but was it a man?
It's usually a man.
A man said, sorry, can you not fly that because we're filming Mission Impossible 7.
Oh, wow.
So TC in the house, it's a case of that.
When I got that text, just seeing
Close
Tom
friends
Cruise's-
get to call him TC.
Oh, I wish I was a close friend.
Yes, well.
Just seeing the name
how
on the
much you love TC.
Oh, don't. Imagine. All I want to do is meet him. Can't you arrange that, Frank? Sarah's got
Brilliant
closer than you.
cocktail.
I've never met Tom. Well, he might have walked past me, but
You noticed.
If anyone's listening, I'd like to meet Tom Cruise.
Because he's so tiny.
someone will sort that out, I'm sure. He's all over the place at the moment. He's all over Britain like a rash
In my dream.
with his Mission Impossible.
And I'll have the same again curry.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll tell you what, he would have loved to eat out to help out if he'd been here then, wouldn't he?
If he'd have got 3 chicken nuggets for $1.99.
Oh,
I like the way Al Frank referred to his mission employee. You and your impossible missions at it again.
I want to ask you a question about it's that. As soon as I have a thought, the music. I wish the music wouldn't interrupt so much on music radio.
Yeah.
Now I'll ask you in a minute. If you two don't know the answer, I know the readers will help me out.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Frank, I have something for you. 095. Could GFS? Remember you were asking about when you'd stopped at the service station.
By the way, I think there was a typo on our tweet, and it said, "What does GFC stand for in gluten-free chicken?"
Yeah.
And I
dear.
think some people.
Thought it was Gemma Friendly Collins or something like that.
Yeah.
It's not. Should have been GFS. We've amended it. These things happen. Could GFS be gluten-free substitute?
Oh,
The substitute.
Yes,
I think that sounds good to me.
You're
095.
right. Batter on the bench, shall we say, the gluten-free substitute.
Yeah.
Okay, it could be. I thought there might be a representative of Lyon get in touch.
yeah.
Well, I did feel like I was dining out at the sort of, the fancier aspects.
Owned
of the,
by the son of
I don't know.
David Dimbleby.
Is that right?
Shut up.
Henry.
Nice,
Lovely
good
Henry.
knowledge.
As we
That's
say in
very
the
good knowledge. isn't
Children
it?
of TV people world, lovely Henry. Henry Dimbleby. Yeah, charming man.
Wow.
There you
Charming
go.
man.
This charming man.
I thought you'd enjoy that fact.
I'm on my heels. I'm aghast.
He's
I'm
done
not
well
actually
for
because we
himself.
don't have guests on the show anymore.
Why don't we have guests?
We
didn't
have
like
some.
them.
We have a very, very select few.
We like some guests.
And also, I think it's a tough gig for a guest.
Why?
Well, it's quite a standard we set.
Because we're so funny.
Anyway, yeah. So, what have we had any?
What does GFS and gluten-free chicken stand for?
Yeah, great Frank Skinner, as it turns out.
We've got
outside world.
Clive Silas says global fishing system tells you where all the fish and chip shops are.
Well, that sounds good.
That's a bit silly, Billy.
It's nothing to do with chicken nuggets.
No.
Come on, come on, mate.
And we have had from Punitive, might be a nice friend for you, Frank, has suggested glorious Frank Skinner.
Oh, we did great minds. Great finds.
Slightly arrogant mind.
Yeah. Well, yes. I was saying it, of course, with
Oh, no, darling.
some irony.
Yes. And
I'd say 28%.
Okay. We've also had 668. My flat has a name.
Lives next door to Lucifer, of course. So what does 668 say? Every now and again, you never know when you're going to hit the nerve with Emily, but there she goes. How lovely.
Lucifer's neighbour.
Lucifer's neighbour, yeah.
My flat has a name. It's called Aromo, which stands for a room of my own.
Oh, how nice that is.
Especially with Lucifer as a neighbour, you need a room of your own.
Yeah.
Love the show.
Panic room.
Have a great weekend. That's from TC Peppercorn in the Jewellery Quarter in Birmingham.
Oh, okay.
Spicy.
What's your rent like?
I've had it's quite nice.
That's a very good peppercorn rent
Thank
joke.
you.
I hadn't got it. I
Nice.
apologise.
I thought as a sort of Nicholas van Hoogstraten of the show, you might relate to that, Frank.
I don't get that either.
Alan?
I think she's calling you a slum landlord in a elegant fashion.
I see. Blimey. I make Emily laugh, she makes Alan laugh. We will bring the audience in at some point on this.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I would like to discuss a story I enjoyed this week with you, but before I do, can I just point out that Elu2410.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sounds like one of maybe Davros's children. That's the name he'd given. He has sent us, or she, a wonderful image of a house name, enclosed with the caption, "There is a house just up the road from me called Ian." I'm obsessed by Ian.
That's cool.
Again, someone who's they've taken the road less travelled comically on that one.
Enjoy it. Now, we've been talking about complaints this morning with Steve Agrivovich and the chicken nuggets.
Mm-hmm.
I came across something this week which intrigued me because it involved what one would have assumed would be a complaint. One would have anticipated a complaint, but oh, how wrong you would have been. There was a character, I believe this went sort of viral on Twitter, this story. People enjoyed it so much. So someone posted up that they'd received a note from a neighbour saying, "Dear neighbour, I live next door and I would like to discuss your music." So you get to that bit. How are you both feeling then, Frank and Alan?
Well, I'm braced.
Yeah, you'd think this is...
In fact, I'm clenched in some areas. Yeah. What would you be thinking, Alan? It's not going to be good, is it?
I would be. I'd be worrying here.
Yeah, and you're correct. He David Steeled himself. Then...
Did he David Steele, the former Liberal leader himself, or David Steele, the veteran batsman who was brought into international cricket?
I'll accept either.
Okay.
But this note had a bit of a volte-face.
Oh.
He then said, the neighbour then said, number one, after saying I'd like to discuss your music, number one, turn it the expletive up.
Okay.
No, I'm not joking. You play good expletive.
Okay.
Number 2, tell me what songs you're playing. I need that for my playlist.
Okay.
Number 3, I'm not being ironic or anything. I really, really enjoy the music you've played since you moved in. Sincerely, Todd, the male part of the couple next door. Interesting introduction.
Yeah.
Send me some
Who
songs.
lives next door to push me, pull you?
A centaur.
Yeah.
He says, no joke, good music. Now, isn't that quite a heartwarming story?
It's interesting.
amazing.
I think I'm in that note. I'm still thinking sarcasm, right up until no joke, good music. But he's made the point that it's not sarcasm so often. I don't think it's sarcasm, is it?
No, I don't think so.
I remember living next to a guy, and he played very loud Buddy Holly during the night, and I quite like Buddy Holly.
Did he ironically play That'll Be the Day during the night?
There is one called Early in the Morning by Buddy Holly. Anyway, the next day I saw him, and he said, I'm sorry about the loud music last night. This would be about 9 a.m. I saw him. I said, oh, don't worry, I really like Buddy Holly. He said, okay. He said, no, I do feel bad about it. I'll tell you what, do you fancy a glass of vodka with me?
Vodka.
And I remember at about midnight that night, he admitted that he'd anticipated I would say no.
I quite like him.
But, so we had a very wild day. During which I remember I fell off a bus seat and into the aisle.
I want to know a bit more about this wild day.
No, but that was an example of loud music that sort of led to, a bit of camaraderie. Yeah.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
We were discussing this neighbour who received an unexpectedly, I'm going to say generous response to his loud music from his neighbour. I have experienced, I've got to be honest, I actually don't mind music.
Oh, really?
I can handle music.
You mean next door, not just, it's not a general statement.
I think it was a review of music.
I was into music. I just tuned into music radio the other day, and the presenter was saying they didn't mind music.
I mean, I'd go so far as to say thank you for the music.
Oh, what, for the songs I'm playing?
Yeah, thanks for all the joy you're bringing.
Well, who could live without it?
I ask in all honesty. What I mean is, if there is music being piped, if there are sounds coming through from neighbours,
Beats.
crashes, bangs, and thuds are my issue. Can't tolerate those.
You
From
see,
neighbours.
the trouble is that's essentially the music I listen to.
Right.
Come and live next door to me, you'd love it.
I get people come round and say, sorry, I had a man reading aloud during a train crash. Yes, I was playing the Fall.
Well, that is what my current neighbour sounds like. That's another story. I would say I had a neighbour who used to have a little burst of Mambo number 5.
Oh, a little bit of...
Well, it would be, and it was late at night. Sometimes it would be like 1 or 2 in the morning, and I'd hear a little bit of Monica for
Same
my
song.
life. A little bit. Yeah. And perhaps he was dating women on rotation.
Or maybe it was a workout routine he did.
Do you know, I found it oddly cheering. I found it quite comforting.
What sort of time are we talking about?
1:30, sometimes 2.
Ooh, okay.
But if someone's listening to a party song, it feels quite benign, Mambo number 5. So it didn't bother me at all.
He didn't precede it with the other 4 Mambos. he cut to the chase. Didn't he?
I believe David Baddiel once said to me, what I want to know is what happened to Mambos 1 through 4?
Yeah. They must think, do you think they exist, or has he just been... I bet there's
Louis Bega?
somewhere in Louis Bega's notebook there are Mambos 1, 2, 3 and 4.
It'll be like at the V&A Museum when they had the Ziggy played guitar written in pen in the notebook.
Yeah, you need it. We all need a ramp.
Maybe the names, Frank, were from an earlier period. You know, a little bit of ivy in my life. sort of old-fashioned names, Elsie.
It's interesting. I lived in a bedsit, and there was a sculptor lived in one of the other rooms, and he only had 2 records, and they were vinyl, and they were Blue Monday by New Order and Love Missile F1-1100 by Sieg Sputnik. And he played them in rotation over and over and over and over. And I heard them so much that for me they became like breathing in and breathing out. I almost didn't hear them. I used to work in a factory, and I worked in mainly in an office next to the main factory, and people would come in and say, how do you cope with that thumping all the time? Because there was 5-ton hammers. And I'd say, oh yeah, I don't really notice it. Occasionally a mug would fall off a shelf because it'd been edged to the end by the vibrations. In fact, I was talking to a bloke this week who said his mate lived next to a hospital, and several times he has been in the car. You know those people you see in a car, and there's like a fire engine behind them with all the lights, and they're not pulling over or anything. They're just driving along. Sometimes you get that. And once I heard a police van go, "Get out of the way!" There's like a speaker available. "Get out of the way!" And this bloke said he was that guy because he just didn't hear the sirens anymore. He just kept...
Yeah.
A police car once, I was on my way to a football match, it went, "Hey, Frank, on the main loudspeaker from the police van." It's humiliating.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
We were talking about this lovely note from the neighbour.
Yeah.
Talking about music, weren't we, on Absolute Radio?
Yeah, exactly. Well, to live without my music would be impossible to do, as John Miles once said.
Frank,
I feel slightly different from you guys, because I can't honestly think of a time where I've ever heard a neighbours or a passers-by music and thought, that sounds good. Most of the time, like headphones or a speaker on a train, to me is synonymous with awful music, isn't it? But you guys have got lucky, I guess, with neighbours playing good stuff.
Well, no, I think I'm comparing it to Crash Bang Wallop. It's
Tommy Steele? Right.
It's infinitely preferable because at least music is designed to be listened to. I can bear it. I don't mind that because Go on. No, after après-vous, my friend.
I once heard music whilst I was performing as a stand-up, and it was at a music-y sort of festival thing, and there was a distant tent where music started playing, and it was Bombay Bicycle Club, and I said, "Oh, this is good. Why are you guys all here?" And the whole audience got up and went to listen to Bombay Bicycle Club. Yeah, you got to be careful. That's why we never mention what's on the radio during our slot. On a morning, I think it's a sensible tactical error.
Reminded me of when I lived back in Oldbury in my childhood. That I don't know if you know, but in our road there was council houses on our side and private houses on the other. And I think, as Kipling said, "Ne'er the twain shall meet." And then one of the what we called the posh people, that's all very relative.
I like to say the poshans.
Yeah, stopped my mum in the street and said, "Look, this is none of my business, but I saw your neighbour walking out of your yard across into his yard with a shovel full of your coal." I know this has a sort of a good King Wenceslas feel to it, this anecdote, but yeah, and we discovered that that's what they were doing. They were stealing our coal for their own fire. Can you believe that?
Was that the equivalent in your day of stealing someone's Wi-Fi connection?
Well, I suppose it was. Yeah, it was quite a big deal. My dad had to go around and have. I don't know if there were actually words. There might have been some words.
I think there might have been spades.
Hither and thither. But it was quite a big, quite a shocker.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad they got theirs.
As you said, it is
Before
slightly out of date anecdote.
before we go, at 682, when I was on the traffic police, we had a plain car fitted with a wolf whistle on the loudspeaker.
Oh,
And then it is
and
a lady...
I thought my anecdote was out of date.
Well, what I like is that Tuppence, one of our regulars, is very self-aware. She says, we didn't know.
Excellent. A wolf whistle on the speak. Oh my goodness. I could imagine UKIP doing that on polling day. And as ever, thank you so much for listening to us today. And again, I do genuinely thank Faye, who was... I love to see ginger-haired people doing well. And, sorry, do you accept ginger as a colour? Because I have a ginger-haired son, I'm very keen to promote the G word. As I've said before, I am to the gingers like Joanna Lumley was to the Gurkhas. I'm not actually one myself, but I push their cause. So yes, if the good Lord spares us and the creeks don't rise, we'll be back again this time next week. Now get out.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.